Hey SOW community, this is Zalon coming at you with another SOW video. And in this video I am continuing my orc strategy series and going to show you exactly how to figure out the first 3 skills in every one of your orcs, including also figuring out and knowing what the skills of the orcs that you're going up against are, even without even battling them. So that, as long as you can see what their name is and who they are, and like what they look like, you can see that what their strengths are going to be. So it's kind of nice, and I'm going to show you how to do this, but it's all going to be in a actual presentation outside of game. That's right, everybody. I have a little slideshow. So it is determined by class, tribe, orc title, and the last two are mixed. If anyone does have a theory of how to figure out what the last two are, the last two skills from what I've seen are mixed, and that's what makes your orcs unique, is those last two. I do have noticed though that they seem to be a pool of mixed skills that are based on your orc title, I believe. Again, that could be incorrect. But the first three things, class, tribe, and orc title. Now, before I go on any further, I want to make sure I give all credit to where credit is due. The first skill being recognized that it was dealing with the class of the orc goes to that Erickson. He was one of the people that I've watched pretty regularly here on YouTube for Shadows of War, and in one of his tutorials he talked about the first skill being linked to class, and he was correct. Nobody else has mentioned about tribe and orc title as the second and third, and that is what they are. So the first three traits of all your orcs are determined by these things. So by the class, the tribe, and then the orc title itself will determine the third trait. And I will go ahead and show you what I mean. So we'll start off with class. So the destroyer class, every one of the destroyer class, and the symbol to the left is what the destroyer class symbol looks like, will have the sticky bomb. Well, let me just make sure. The destroyer class is a diabolical orc who incinerates his enemies with his explosive concoctions. The sticky bomb trait attaches an explosive to an enemy after 3 seconds, the numbers in blue, and I'll just explain that too. The numbers in blue are modified as you rank up these skills. So after a certain amount of seconds, it deals a certain amount of damage to the target and nearby enemies. So pretty cool skill for all destroyers class. Okay. The second one we got here is trickster. And they're a crafty orc who uses guile and trickery to disorient his enemies and assist his allies. And the trickster first skill is always going to be escape cloud, which deals a certain amount of damage to nearby enemies and stuns them for a certain amount of seconds before blinking to an ally. So pretty cool. Tricksters are definitely interesting class. Then we have the tracker, who are ruthless hunters who annihilate their prey with their axes. So trackers are very easily determined that that's what they are by just even seeing that they have double axes. And they dash behind. They have shadow step, which that dashes behind an enemy and deals a certain amount of damage. The commander is the next one, a heavily armored tactician who empowers his allies and subjugates his enemies. You'll always recognize the commanders always have a lot of armor. All my commanders seem to have like the heavy top chest plates and everything else, so commanders typically have that. And the commanders will always have the taunt trait, which taunts nearby enemies and gains 30% a certain amount of armor for a certain amount of seconds, and after a certain amount of seconds, they deal damage to nearby enemies, plus additional damage for each time that he was attacked. So pretty awesome, and I've seen this plenty of times in battle. They kind of curl up in a ball, and that's kind of what the taunt is. So it's an interesting trait for the commanders. For the combat masters, which is next, a tough sword-wielding orc capable of inflicting and withstanding heavy damage with equal measure. So combat masters are they're not just a tank, but they're also really good for attack as well. Blade Fury, which quickly hacks at an enemy multiple times, dealing a certain amount of damage, regaining certain amount of health with each attack. Okay. And combat masters always could be, they're always just carrying the one single blade sword. Um, and I really like that. It's an attack that also regens health, but just strictly for that orc. And then the final and sixth class that is available right now in the game is marksman, and they are crossbow wielding orcs who pick off their targets with lethal precision. And they have the piercing bolt trait, and fires a bolt at the enemy, dealing a certain amount of damage to all enemies between himself and his target, which is nice when you have a whole bunch coming straight at you to keep the marksman kind of especially in the back, but lined up so that you can get multiple targets at the same time, which is pretty sweet. My favorite out of these six, I would have to say, is Combat Master. But also, I do really like the Tricksters because they can get out of difficult situations. So, yeah, but we'll see which ones I do tend to favor more here in the future. But they are awesome, different classes available, all six. So trait 2 is then determined by the tribe. So I will go through the 6 tribes that are available here in Shadows of War Mobile. The only thing is there's 7 tribes in the actual PC and console game, which is interesting. So my favorite tribe actually out of those 7 is missing, the Marauder tribe. And there's 2 more tribes that are going to be added to the console and PC game. So I'm wondering if they're holding those 3 tribes from the mobile game to add them later, which would be kind of very exciting because besides from adding characters to the game, which is cool and awesome, if they add some new different types of orcs as well to the game, would also make it new and exciting. So just had to make that note. So here we have the Feral tribe, which they're a tribe of savage, animalistic orcs who adorn themselves in the hides and teeth of slaughtered beasts. Very easy to pick out feral tribe orcs based on that just general description. And their base attacks deal a certain amount of percentage of the target's max health as bonus damage. So that's quite a nice extra trait to have. And then we have Slaughter Tribe. They're bloodthirsty orcs who revel in death and dismemberment. The Slaughter Tribe. They have Ravenous, which the trait regains a certain amount of health each time they take basic attack damage. Okay? So, Slaughter would be a really good thing to put together with Combat Master. Just a quick tip right there, it looks like. Mystic. Mystic Tribe are wise ritualistic orcs who dabble in forbidden magics. That trait is reduce the ability of all enemies by 50%. Now remember, this is the second trait for all these orcs. Okay? And then the Dark Tribe is the mysterious orcs who prefer to lurk in the shadows and strike in secret. The Dark Triad have Healer's Bane, which reduces all enemy healing by 50%. So that's pretty cool. I like that idea. And then we have the Terror Tribe, sadistic orcs who delight in torturing and terrorizing their victims. Okay? All the Terror Tribe guys have barbed armor, which returns a certain amount of damage taken when hit by a melee basic attack. Alright, cool. Alright, and then we have the Machine. The last one we have is the Machine Tribe, the industrious orcs who strip the land of its resources to keep the forges of Mordor churning. They come with the Unstoppable trait. And they cannot be stunned, terrified. Cannot be stunned, terrified, or slowed. And that, I think, is really cool. Because actually having a straight up, no, can't be, stunned, terrified, or slowed at all, basically means anybody that has all those types of debilitating attacks, machine orcs will just blast right through that. So that's a really nice attack, or a really nice trait right there. Also, yeah, that would be all 6 of the tribes, and that's all their second traits. So out of the 6 different tribes and the 6 different classes, like I just mentioned at the beginning there, I like the Slaughter tribe, and I like the Combat Master. And that would be probably Slaughter tribe, and I'm basing this off the skills too. Um, Terror also too, the one that returns the certain percent damage by melee basic attack, which is pretty much what most of the time is you're dealing with. So, and trait 3, which is based on orc title, is coming soon. Reason being is the titles. There's a lot of them. There's a real lot of them. I can give you a bunch of examples here at the end of the video just to let you know. But I'm going to compile a big list of them, and I do have a bunch already. And there's a lot of repeats, but the names of the actual traits are different, but what the traits do is exactly identical to somebody of a different title. So, for instance, there's people that have the Beast in their name as the title, and that's Relentless, which is the trait that attack speed percentage is boosted. And then, oh, I'm sorry, no, the name also is the same. So an orc that has the Berserker after his name also has Relentless, which is exactly the same trait. So then there's a couple titles that are different but do exactly the same thing. But the one that we do see a lot of, and I do want to mention about, is something killer, like elf killer or man killer or slayer of. Basically, it's going to be a slayer of something. They're going to deal more damage to that particular character, particular type of character, and take less damage from them. But it's very specific. So I don't consider those to be the greatest of orc names. But out of all the other ones, it seems like there's plenty of other ones that do a lot of other ability buffs. A lot of some of them are percentage heals for all damage dealt. So also too, that is good. So some are stunning. Some are increasing allies' attack percentage. So it's not always about just the orc with the third skill, which is based on the actual orc title. So orc titles are important. Knowing your orc titles and which ones are going to be better than others is important. Like I said, we'll have a list of them coming soon to some of the better ones, but there's a lot of them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit like and subscribe if you have not already. But I will be back with more SOW information, strategies, tips, and info in very soon. I have plenty more videos going to be coming out very, very soon. So SOW community, I will talk to you guys all again very soon.